Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you very much for joining me again today for another card making tutorial. And this is my design team entry for the Inspire.Create.Challenge. And the challenge this week is to case the designer, and the designer for this particular challenge that we're casing is me. Okay, so if you pop along to the blog post that accompanies this video, you will see a picture of the original sample, which used one of the lovely celebration sets from last year called Corner Bouquet. And I used a bright colour palette, and I believe it was a colour challenge of Daffodil Delight, Granny Apple Green and Flirty Flamingo, which are all in the Brights collection of colours. So my freshened up card design is going to be this one, which is using the Sweet Strawberry stamp set. So if you're not really a fan of the strawberries, the florals and the lovely messages are really cool, and I can make this pretty card using those. So no hint of any strawberries in use to make this. And I've switched out the colour palette and used all of the subtles. So I've got Saffron instead of Daffodil Delight. I've subbed out the Granny Apple Green for Pear Pizzazz, and I've brought in Petal Pink instead of the Flirty Flamingo. So that's what we've created. Okay, the original card also had a stamped card base like this, tone on tone. So we're doing that. And we're going to switch it up again, and this time we're going to use a neutrals colour palette. So we're going to have a completely different look and feel to this card. Okay, so I'm going to use Sahara Sand as my card base. So I'm just going to use some scrap paper so that I can do my stamping around the edge with the image here that it's got the foliage on and these little flowers. So all we're going to do is use the matching Sahara Sand ink, and we're just going to go around the edge of the card and just add that detail onto the edge there. Okay, so if you twist and turn the stamp a little bit, or have it you know, just ink up portions of it and bring it in from the corner, you can get different bits and pieces appearing as on your card. So if I bring this all the way in, we're going to get a lot of the leaves showing, but not so much of the flowers, because they're going to be covered up by the layer in the middle. Okay, but I'm going to just put those flowers into the corner there. Okay, so you can really build up a nice customized background. You could just go around just with this leaf bit as well, and do it that way. All kinds of things you can do. I'm just going to wipe that off onto my stamping chamois, because we need it again to do our stamping on the front. I'm just going to tidy away the Sahara Sand just for a moment. The layer that's going to go on top of that is this one. It's just some basic white, which measures 3.5 by 5 1/4. So we can just use some seal to get that stuck down. Just a few stripes of that. So when I'm layering up, I like to have my card the other way around, so I can see the top and bottom edges of this of the layer I'm going on to. I'm holding it in my dominant hand, okay, but this left hand edge isn't going to touch the card until I'm happy that I've got the border between the top and the bottom and the right hand edge there even. And then by virtue of that, provided you've done an even border around, in terms of you've cut off 1/4 inch off each side or something, and it's in proportion with your card, the top, if you've got these three right, the top border should be bang on. Okay, right? If you've made it, you know, sort of skinny and narrow, that isn't necessarily going to work, and you just would have to visualize something else. But if you've made an equal margin, that works really well for me every time. Okay, so that's my card base done for the moment. Okay, so then we want to bring in our small layer. So these layers are this is Merry Merlot, which is 3 1/8 by 4 7/8 of an inch, and I've got basic white, which is 3 inches by 4 3/4. Grab that piece of scrap again, and the neutral green is Mossy Meadow. So this is quite a dark colour, but you know, we're just having some fun with some colour. We're gonna just the idea is just to show you that you can do different things and mix up the same card layout, but use it in very different ways. So we'll put one in this top corner, and then we're going to fill in at the bottom. So I think I'm going to come in like that, and then take it up the side a little bit. So you're going to get a slightly different look every time, depending on how you stamp your images. That's a really pretty colour actually, as an outline image. That's really, really cool. Not when it looks like, when you sort of look at it independently, it doesn't look that dissimilar to Evening Evergreen actually, but when you actually stamp the two together, you'll see that they are actually quite different. And then what we're also going to do is add a teensy bit of shimmer, because we can. And if we use our Wink of Stella over this, the leaves in particular, the solution in the pen, whatever it, I don't know what it's made out of, but whatever it is, it's magic. We'll just make that ink move slightly, so we've got a bit of colour being added to our leaves as well, in a super subtle way. And we've got shimmer to boot as well. So this particular technique, this sort of, I don't know, I would call it almost like a watercolour technique, with the Wink of Stella, really works well, particularly with the deeper colours. Okay. So hopefully that's coming across okay, that colour's been pulled out from the line art into the image itself, and just adds that little bit of colour. Okay, so this can be put onto our Merry Merlot layer, and that will be ready to go too. And then we need to do our punched out flowers and sentiments. Okay, so somewhere I've put down a scrap of paper. There it is. There's one scrap, and there's another scrap. So let's bring out that. In fact, I'm going to trim that down straight away, and take that down to 3/4 of an inch on my trimmer. Not super sure that's straight, you know. It must be because the little lines there sort of tell me that that's straight, so that's okay. So that's going to be for my sentiment. The length doesn't matter. I'm going to trim that down afterwards, and we'll use this bit for our flowers. So I've already mounted the flowers, and we're going to use the Merry Merlot to do those. And on the card you'll see that there's, oh, see, I've stamped that slightly differently, you see, because I've got half a flower up there, you see. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 5 full flowers that we want to be able to punch out. So again, just getting that wiped off. We can do the same little trick with the Wink of Stella before we punch those out, just to pull some colour into the centre of those flowers. You know how some flowers, they have like that sort of, they're white but the centres are just a little bit darker. And if they were strawberry flowers, they'd look kind of a yellow hue to them, wouldn't they? Stamp our sentiment while we've got all the stuff out. So I'm just doing the same thank you sentiment in the Sahara sand. So we're keeping it all sort of tone on tone, if you like. I'm going to take that all the way to that right hand edge. If it sticks, just push that off with your finger. So banner end on the sentiment, we are going to, I'm going to show you how to hand cut one of these. So, you know, you can snip that off to where you think you want your outer points to be. And if you snip along the centre, up there like that, and then you take your snip from the outer corner to the centre. That's how you can get a banner end if you want to hand cut it. There is a banner punch. The Pick a Punch has a banner option, and you can also use the tailored tag punch to cut banners too. So there's loads and loads of different ways you can cut your banners. And then we're going to bring in our little punch here for the strawberries. This is the Strawberry Builder punch, so I'm going to line this up with that flower. The shape isn't quite symmetrical, and I haven't gone to a lot of effort to make sure that that punch and the stamp are in the correct orientation, because it's close enough, basically. So we're just going to punch those along as we go. Just moving it along. I've shown you a few hints and tips about using these sort of multi image punches, and if you use a strip of card like I am here, just being mindful of where your images are going to be in relation to the punch apertures, so you don't ruin any stamping that you've already got. Okay, so by going this way along the punch, the flower above is being left alone. So and ready to punch along as we go. Okay, so the last one's always going to be a little bit on the fiddly side because you've got a little teeny tiny piece of cardstock, but if you just twiddle it around with your fingers there, I say we're just aiming for it getting roughly right. So there we go, that's our last one. Just be careful you don't pinch the heel of your hand as you punch it. Get all that debris out of your punch, because otherwise it will jam it if you're not careful, because you haven't realised it's there. Just scraping away this stuff, because otherwise I'm going to end up with it stuck to elbows and all sorts. So just give me a sec. Just pull those away. So now we've got some cute punched flowers. Okay, and I'd say the lining up of the punch doesn't, I don't think it really makes too much of a difference to what we're trying to achieve here. Okay, ribbon wise, now the ribbon on my original sample matched my card base. Now my card base is Sahara sand. I've put down my ribbon, there it is, and don't have Sahara sand ribbon. In fact, we don't have Sahara sand blends or anything really. We do have crumb cake though, and that's close enough. Okay, so I'm going to use the light crumb cake blends marker to colour this ribbon. Could have left it white, I guess, but I figured in for a penny, in for a pound. Okay, so we're just going to do that. So this is a really fab way to get ribbon that coordinates with your project. So if ever there's a white ribbon, it's a good one to get because you can then colorise it. To suit your project. So that's cool. The alcohol, it will work with the water-based markers as well, but you're going to have to make sure that it's completely dry before you start handling it, whereas the alcohol ones dry pretty quickly, so you can actually use it sort of pretty much straight away without having to wait for it to dry. So we're going to, let's just chop that in half with my other scissors and secure that round the middle there. Okay, just need to think about where it's going to go, because I still want my flowers to be obvious. So I think we're going to have it sort of there on this particular card because of the way it's turned out. And say you're going to get a slightly different result every time, so just go with it and just see what happens. So we're just going to secure that in place. With a bit of seal. Those aren't the sharpest of scissors, but they're my just for sort of getting stuff dirty. So there we go, that's in place, and I'm going to actually put that onto the card base now so that we can start planning the layout of everything else. Where did I put it? There it is. So again, I'm going to turn it on its side like I did with the other one. Eyeball these 3 borders. Ooh, and hopefully not move it as I drop it down. There we are. So there we are, there's our base. We've got our sentiment across the middle there now. I do like it when it breaks the border there, and I think it just sort of draws your eye into the design. And then all we need to do is add our little flowers. So I'm going to use the edge of my glue. So those of you who watch a lot have seen me do this before. Okay. So these are stuff to hand, right? So you've got your own hand, and you've got some rounded tip of something. So my multi-purpose glue works great for this. I've also got one of these large ball tools, if I can find it. So one of these. That's really cool. You can use a bone folder. And just get into the tip of that as well. So loads of ways you can shape your flowers. Just use what you've got. Okay, and we'll add some spots of glue onto the back of those. So just giving it that little cupped sort of shape, I don't know, just makes a bit of a difference. These aren't an exact match for the stamped image. You can deliberately offset them if you want, make it look like there's little sepals underneath. I'm just going to add those on. And what I didn't do on the sample at the beginning was add any bling. We could add some bling as well. So if we just, sorry, I've just got to get into my other drawer, which I've barricaded in. So if we just added some little gems to that, just grabbing my pokey tool there, just sort of another element just to tie everything together really. So we know we like our clusters of threes, and if they're sort of hidden into the blooms as well, just sort of brings the whole thing together. Oops. There we go. That's cute. I like the colour combo, you know. I think that's worked out really, really well. I was a bit sort of anxious about putting those colours together for the card. I like it. Like it a lot. Okay. So just that hint of colour onto the ribbon just sort of tones that down. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, so there we go. 2 more ideas for some colour themes there, using the subtles and the neutrals palette. So there you go. I'd love to see if you have a go at doing a little bit of a colour palette with the different colour families. What we've got other regals. The regals, if we were going for these ones, we could bring in some crushed curry, that'd be lovely. Maybe some cherry cobbler. And then we've got old olive, that would be good. Food for thought. I hope you've enjoyed today's project. Please do stop by the description bar and look at the blog, and there's going to be a link to the Inspire.Create.Challenge that's running now. So if you fancy having a go, then pop along there, and there's a gallery that you can add your photo to, and you'll get a shout out as a winner in 2 weeks' time. They run from Sunday to I think the closing date is actually the Wednesday, I think. So you've got like a week and a half to get your entries in. So yeah, love to see you there. Thanks ever so much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Please do stay safe out there, won't you? Okay, take care. Bye.